The reason for which I am here is only one. To repeat with you, we believe possible to fight everyone for a free Iran, free for the reason as you described in the 10 points. Let me be very clear with you. I think we need to come back to roots of our culture. Your culture, our culture are different cultures, but we share the same values. The values who stay in the list of 10 points of Maryam Rajavi.
I stand here today in solidarity with all those that suffered and are suffering the loss and the pain inflicted by a regime that crushes the future of its population. 45 years of broken promises, oppression and terror have not broken your resolve, as I have witnessed in Ashraf and Liberty, and as we are witnessing today with the 10-point plan for change.
We need to showcase Maryam Rajavi as we see her, an inspiring, committed, passionate, and democratic leader. Now let's compare this record of repression with the vision articulated by Maryam Rajavi. The battle of ideas begins with her 10-point plan for a free and democratic Iran. It's a model of governance with respect for individual rights and human dignity. On this battlefield of ideas, you are not just winning, you've already won. You've already won.
All nations should demonstrate their political support for the democratic opposition and call for a free, democratic, secular, and non-nuclear Iran, as stated in the 10-point plan. This plan, which is endorsed and applauded by hundreds of parliamentarians, congressmen, and senators in my own country and around the globe, should be the guidepost for our future.
The women of Iran should be our inspiration. They have stood up bravely and exposed the violence of this regime. This is why I support strongly Maryam's 10-point plan. It is imperative to separate religion and state, to build up a new sovereign nation, to disband all repressive institutions in order to guarantee labor rights, sexual and reproductive rights, and political rights for all people of Iran.
But ultimately, the fate of that government depends on you, the people of Iran. You must overthrow that government. You can overthrow that government. And you will overthrow that government. You'll replace it with a democratic government, with the platform outlined by President-elect Rajavi. There'll be freedom, there'll be tolerance, there'll be respectability of Iran. There'll be honor paid to the great civilization of Persia and all of its history. It's time to bring Iran forward, but not with this government.
In my recent audience with Madam President, I was immediately struck by her dedication, courage, and intellect. Her leadership is truly remarkable. I was particularly impressed by 10-point plan, which outlines a vision for a democratic Iran, The principles are fundamental to any democratic state and are the very values that we in the European Union very often take for granted.
The Iranian people, led by opposition leader Mrs. Maryam Rajavi, have repeatedly emphasized that overthrowing the regime and establishing a democratic republic is their responsibility. They are shouldering that responsibility. We urge all governments to support the NCRI President-elect Maryam Rajavi's 10-point plan, which was outlined many times over the course of the last 2 days, for a democratic republic based on the separation of religion and state and gender equality.
We condemn the gross human and women's rights violations and endorse Maryam Rajavi's 10-point plan for a free and democratic Iran. Her plan emphasizes universal suffrage, the separation of religion and state, full gender equality and the abolition of the death penalty. Madam Rajavi, I appeal for your never-failing courage, energy, and passion in all that you believe in. Keep on inspiring me and so many others.
Madam Rajavi's 10-point plan is equal to European Union values. It's important that the European Union tells clearly that that 10-point plan is the right path, right way to better Iran. And that should be, if Iran wants to have cooperation with the European Union, the way to go forward.
The NCRI also put forward democratic roadmap in Madam Rajavi's 10-year point plan for future of Iran. We therefore wait for Iran to achieve that particular freedom that will be generated by the women of Iran, by the contribution young people in Iran make, but most important than that, to stick to the 10-point principles which talks about justice, liberty, and peace.
Mrs. Rajavi's 10-point plan for a democratic republic in Iran would enshrine these very human rights for all and finally acknowledge that women in Iran matter. Freedoms that we are fighting for and experiencing here today must be in Iran under your plan, Madam Rajavi. So, let's do away with that dictatorship.
Maryam Rajavi's 10-point plan exemplifies strong leadership and a commitment to democratic principles, providing a clear roadmap of a free and democratic Iran. This is a beacon of hope in the current situation.
That is why we are here, women and men from different parts of the world, to show our solidarity with the struggle of women in Iran, with the 10 points raised by the National Council of Resistance, led by an extraordinary woman, Maryam Rajavi, who has demonstrated a temper and courage that goes beyond waiting, which has to do with this permanent struggle, day by day, for the rights of women in the freedom of her country.
It's time for the Iranian people to decide their country's future. I am delighted to support and promote the 10-point democratic programme presented by Madam Rajavi, which begins with absolute rejection of Failliat-e-Faqih and affirmation of the people's sovereignty in our republic founded on universal suffrage and pluralism. You're making democratic change possible. You deserve our support and assistance. I will stand with you until Iran is free.
Let's move on in the struggle, Madam Rajavi. We are with you. We wish you all the best of luck. Best of luck to the resistance fighters in Iran and outside of Iran. Thank you.